Hello everybody, let's get started on revising module 1 and 2 for your UT. These are the points which are going to be covered today. First of all, what is internet? Internet is a connected network of computer networks. So each of these machines is going to be given a unique address which is called as the IP address. Now when these multiple machines are connected together, of course we have to think about the security because we are trying to send our data from one network to another network. And how can we trust the other network which is not connected to us? So for that reason we have to think about the security part. So we have to focus on secure payments and secure commercial activities which are going to take place in the internet, and for this reason we need cryptography. Basically, cryptography is derived from the Greek word called cryptos. It means hidden secrets. So what we will do is we will perform some manipulations on our data and we will convert it into some hidden information. So our data, when it travels across the insecure internet from one network to another network, it will be passing in a secret format, so that even though the intruder gets attached to the data or he tries to manipulate and change the contents of the data, he will not be able to read the original data which is hidden inside your cryptic message. Now this art and science of converting plain intelligible data into unintelligible data and again transforming that message at the receiver side, this process is called as cryptography. So basically in cryptography you convert your original message from plain text into cryptotext. Cryptotext is going to be hidden information, and from cryptotext it will be converted back into plain text at the receiver's end. Now, for any system to be secure, we have to talk about the CIA triad. So, it stands for confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means when the data is traveling from network 1 to network 2, the contents of the data are hidden. So, that is what we are going to achieve using cryptography. When data is traveling from one end to another end, no one else should be able to see the contents of that message. Integrity means when the data is traveling from point A to point B, no one else must be able to change the contents of the message. So that means the integrity of the data is maintained. Only valid users are allowed to access the data, that is confidentiality. Only valid users are allowed to change the contents of the data, that is integrity. And data should be available to all the valid users at all the time. That satisfies the triad for availability. So that is CIA: confidentiality, integrity, and availability. If we want to maintain confidentiality of our data, we are going to use cryptography. And if we want to maintain integrity of our data, we are going to use either hash functions or digital signatures. Now some basic definitions of cryptography are plain text. This is the original message that starts from the sender's side. So before the message is converted into any other format, it is going to be present in some plain text. That is going to be the input to your cryptographic algorithm. Then we have encryption algorithm. The main task of this algorithm is to convert your data from plain text into ciphertext. So this is done with the help of performing various substitutions and transformations on the plain text data. An encryption algorithm is in charge of converting your data from plain text to ciphertext. Now this conversion process requires one more input. One input is going to be the plain text by default, and one more input is going to be the key. So this key is the secret key which is preordained, or it is pre-selected by the sender and the receiver, and this secret key is sent as an input to your encryption algorithm. So now encryption algorithm has two inputs. One is the plain text and another is the secret key. Now all the substitutions and transformations are performed by the algorithm depending upon this secret key. And once the substitutions and all the transformations are completed, then the result, which is the scrambled message, hidden message that we get as an output, that output is called as your ciphertext. So plain text is the sender's original message. Encryption algorithm is used for converting plain text into ciphertext. Secret key is sent as an input to the encryption algorithm, and the result after encryption is called as ciphertext. So of course this ciphertext depends upon the plain text and the secret key. Now there are two types of cryptography. The first is called as secret key cryptography. That means the same key is used for encryption at the sender side as well as decryption at the receiver side. This key must be preordained. That means it must be initially available to both the parties. So before the beginning of encryption or decryption, both the parties, that is the sender and the receiver, will sit down together and then they will try to create a special secret key, and then this secret key will be held by both of them, and in future both of them will encrypt and decrypt using the same secret key. So because we use one single key for performing encryption and decryption, it is called as secret key, or it is also called as symmetric key. Symmetry matlab kya? Same. So same key is used for encryption and decryption, hence it is also called as symmetric key or secret key cryptography. Now, one more type of cryptography is public key cryptography. Now, here we have two users, Alice and Bob. Alice has two keys. One is her own private key and another is her public key. Similarly, Bob has a public key and a private key. Now, when Alice wants to perform encryption on her plain text, she will get Bob's public key and perform encryption. So, public keys are available to all the users in the network. Now, when Alice wants to send a message to Bob and Alice wants to encrypt that message, she will use Bob's public key to perform the encryption, and the result is going to be the ciphertext. This ciphertext is going to be transmitted over the insecure internet to Bob's end. At Bob's end, Bob will retrieve that ciphertext and perform decryption. For decryption, Bob is going to use his own private key, and then he will be able to read the contents of the original message, which was the plain text. So for encryption, sender uses receiver's public key, and for decryption, the receiver uses his own private key. So in this case, we use the public key and the private key, both of the receivers, for performing encryption and decryption. This type of cryptography is called as public key cryptography. So if you have a large amount of data that you want to transmit, what you can do is you can divide that data into blocks, use the receiver's public key, and you can put that data into ciphertext by encrypting that data using the receiver's public key. And on the receiver's end, receiver is going to perform the decryption of these individual blocks of data using the receiver's own private key. So this process of encryption and decryption, which is done on blocks, it is also called as block cipher. And in chapter 2, we have studied all the block ciphers in detail, like DES, AES, IDEA algorithm, blowfish algorithm, and so on. Now we are going to talk about the hash function. So these are the few properties of the hash function. First of all, it should be easy to compute, as well as it should be unidirectional. It should be in one direction. So you have a given message M, and you are going to send that message M as an input to a hash function, and hash function is going to calculate the output, which is the hash value or the message digest value of the given message. Now this should always be one way. That means you can calculate hash of the function from the message, but the opposite direction. That means if you are given the hash value and you are asked to calculate the original message, it should be near to impossible. So you are given Y, but it should be very hard to find the original message which generated that hash value. Hence it should be one way function. It should always be collision free. Collision free means it must be very hard to find two messages M1 and M2 with same hash values. For example, if M1 is good morning and M2 is welcome to CNS lecture, then M1 and M2 must never lead to same hash values. That means hash of good morning must never be equal to hash of welcome to today's lecture. And if you are given M and H of M1, it should be very hard to find another message that will give you the same hash value. So these are the two properties of the collision type of the cryptographic hash function. It should be easy to compute, it should be one way, and it should be strong collision free as well as weak collision free. Now what is this hash value exactly? This hash value is calculated using the message M. So message M is sent as an input to the hash function, and the output is going to be an hash value. It is always going to be a fixed length value. Message M can be of any arbitrary length, but the output is always going to be of a fixed length. For example, we have seen now MD5 and SHA as two hash functions in our syllabus. In all these hash functions, the same principle is applied. Suppose if your input is Fox and this is the SHA or the MD5 hash function, then you will take fox as an input and generate a hash value. Now as you can see, even if you change the size of the input, for example here the input is the red fox runs across the ice, here the input is the red fox walks across the ice. So the input text is continuously varying, but the size of the hash value is going to stay the same, only the size. Okay, the contents are of course going to change. So for fox we have this hash value, for this type of input we have this 52ed87 hash value, for this red fox walks we have this type of hash value. So hash value is going to change after every hash function is performed, but the length of the hash is always going to stay the same. So this is how we have studied MD5 and SHA algorithms, and these hash functions are going to help us in maintaining the integrity of our message. Integrity means no one else can change the contents of the message except the originator, that is the sender. So far we have seen that a symmetric key cryptography uses a single key. So you can see now plain text to ciphertext is converted using this key, and similarly ciphertext to plain text is again converted using this same key. We have seen asymmetric cryptography, that means plain text to ciphertext is converted using public key of the receiver, and ciphertext to plain text is again converted using the public key of the private key of the receiver. And hash function is going to take the plain text as input and convert it into ciphertext, and this ciphertext is going to be a hash value is always going to be one way, and hash function has no key. For the last part, we are going to talk about digital signature. Now, digital signature is similar to your signatures in real life. When you sign any document, you put your own signature on that document. And similarly, in case of electronic media also, when a user wants to sign a document, he will sign it using his own private key. So, let's look at this example of two users, Bob and Alice. Bob wants to tell Alice to send me some money. So now what Bob has this message, send me some money. Now this message is going to be encrypted and it is going to have a digital signature, and this digital signature is going to be created using Bob's own private key. So Bob will use his own private key, that means the sender's private key, and sign the message, generate the digital signature. Then these two entities, that is the original message and the digital signatures, these two entities are separate entities and they are going to be sent to the receiver side. Now receiver here is Alice. Alice will use Bob's public key and she will authenticate the message using Bob's public key, and she will verify the digital signature. So for verification we use the sender's public key, and for signature generation we use the sender's private key. Now once the signature is verified from Alice's end, then she can send the money to Bob. So now Bob has signed this message and Alice has verified this message. For sending digital signature or for creating digital signature, the sender uses his own private key, and for receiving, after receiving, for verification, the receiver uses sender's public key. Now this is the architecture of cryptography. What you have is, if you want to perform digital signature, you will use the sender's private key and the original sender's message. If you want to create a hash value, you will use only the message. So hash function has only one input, which is the original message. If you want to perform encrypted message using secret key cryptography, then you will have to have a random session key which is shared between the users and the original message. And if you want to perform public key cryptography, then you will need the receiver's public key and the original message, and then you can create the encrypted message. So this is all about cryptography. All the best for your exam.